Chaplains are the warrior priests of a Space Marine chapter, fierce and unrelenting in battle, bellowing out their prayers and litanies to the chapter as they attack their enemies. They hold a special and revered position in any chapter, leading and caring for the spiritual well-being of each and every chapter member through strict regimen of prayer and knowledge of the chapter's rites and rituals. While there are plenty of firstborn Marine chaplains, there's only a handful of Primaris chaplains, and so as soon as I saw the Stormcast Relictor, I knew I had to convert it for my Space Marine chapter. I only needed the body of the Relictor for this conversion, so I assembled this and left the back, head and one of the arms off. Then I cut away the recognisable Age of Sigmar and Stormcast items. This was especially true for the lightning bolts on the chest plate. The skull was going to be fine since it fit in with the grim dark aesthetic of a chaplain. The front tabard design was going to be an issue, so I started to cut it away. Originally I wanted to leave this blank, but it was soon pretty clear that it was going to be a pain to remove, so I left it with the intention of coming back with some green stuff to turn it into a thicker cloth or a parchment. The left arm was cut off and I test fit a mace-wielding Space Marine arm. I couldn't get hold of the Crozius Arcanum, the power mace that all chaplains carry into battle. Instead, I found a sort of generic power mace from another Space Marine. While it's not what I wanted, its brutal design is suited for a chaplain making their way towards the enemy to crack some heads. For the right arm, I found one with a bolter, and with some trimming and cleaning it fit on nicely. I like the line of the arms from the bolter through the body and up to the end of the mace. It creates a strong silhouette, and if you've seen my model review videos, you'll know I'm all about the silhouette. But I wasn't entirely happy with it, so I dug into the bits box and found a few similar arms. I settled on one with a bolt pistol and a chain with a pendant around the wrist. The chain and pendant sold this arm to me as it seemed appropriate for a chaplain. Unfortunately, the pendant was knocked off at some point, but the chain was still a nice addition. I had a few different head options from various Space Marine kits and settled on a suitably fierce head, one that was grizzled and angry enough to be a long-serving chaplain. The neck was trimmed down so it would fit into the armor, and after a lot of moving around and holding in place while building the rest of the model, I was able to get it to look towards the mace, as if it was pointing out where the next filthy heretic to pummel was. A backpack was added and 2 shoulder pads were glued on. With the core of the model completed, it was time to move on to adding the extra detail that will sell this as a chaplain. I trimmed away a piece of the upper leg armor and test fit a Grey Knight's book. That needed a little trimming as well, but it was pretty easy to stick on there. In my mind, this is a prayer book full of litanies and chants to inspire the chapter as they press forward into battle. I love the inclusion of shields on the body of a Space Marine, and it's a great inclusion of the Indomitus style. I think they're called palettes or palates, I'm not entirely sure on that. Either way, it was easy to add one. With a little trimming and some tricky gluing, it separates this model from a Relictor conversion and sets it apart. It's such a simple addition, but to me it takes the whole model up a step or two. Purity seals and various other icons were added to the model, and this, just like the shield, takes it another step. And since this is a Blood Angel chaplain, I included various different insignia and regalia of the chapter. The blood drop pendant and the already added Blood Angel shoulder pad in the strong reds of the chapter make these parts stand out against the black armor and gown of the chaplain in a striking way. For me, it's these little details that improve the model. Finally, I set about fixing the front tabard with some green stuff to create an old and tattered scroll. In my head, this parchment is an ancient prayer passed from chaplain to chaplain before battle and could possibly even be a relic of the chapter itself. I rolled out some green stuff, cut a small rectangle and pushed it around until I was happy with the paper-like folds and creases. I did go back later off camera and add a few more folds because it just really didn't seem to sell the whole idea of paper to me. And with that, the conversion was complete. The Stormcast Relictor is a great model to base a Space Marine chaplain on. It already has very strong chaplain vibes, and with some simple arm changes and head changes, you already have an easy conversion. With the addition of extra purity seals, some green stuff, some more like grimdark sci-fi bits, it really makes it into its own model. I do wish I could have found a Crozius Arcanum, but the mace is brutal and different enough to sell the idea that it's a special or holy relic of the chapter, and it's not a mace you really want to be on the wrong end of. I don't call myself a painter by any stretch of the imagination, but briefly, most of the paint job was done using a variety of different contrast paints and metallics. I do want to go back and add some highlights and tidy up a few areas, but for what it is, I don't mind it. So if you have enjoyed this video or want to see more like it, you can let me know by hitting that like button. So thank you for watching, and I will see you in another video.